I used to think running and lifting were wrecking my knees, but after years of stiffness and swelling, I found out that the pain wasn't coming from my training, it was coming from my food. See, when I stopped eating gluten for a few weeks, my knees felt brand new. I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, physical therapist, run coach, exercise physiologist, and Marine veteran. For years, I dealt with knee stiffness that looked like arthritis. But scans, X-rays showed nothing on there. Right, there was like minimal some wear on my patella, but no significant like bone-on-bone arthritis, no cartilage loss, no meniscus damage in that knee. Yet constant pain, morning stiffness, and swelling in my knee, in my right knee. And today I'm gonna share what actually helped me get rid of that knee pain. Something simple I never expected, and what you can learn from my experiment. I want to talk about what made me suspect gluten in the first place, what happened when I cut it out, and how you can test your own body without guessing or following, diet fads or trends. See how I made the connection. Every time I eat a carb heavy weekend, right? Pizza, bagels, sandwiches, beer, my knees would swell and be in pain the next day. At first, I blamed my mileage or heavy squats. I thought, oh, maybe I just did a long run that was too intense. I went too fast, or I was lifting too heavy in the gym, heavy squats, going too deep. But the pattern was too consistent. Clean eating equals better knees. Weekend of gluten, rich foods, stiff, painful, puffy joints. Right. I even experimented like, okay, let me not train my legs for a few weeks, right? So I just upper body and core, yet the pain was still happening. And that's when I started researching gluten and inflammation. See, gluten is a protein found in wheat, rye, and barley. For some people, it triggers low grade immune inflammation, even without full celiac disease. On my hunch, maybe gluten was inflaming my joints, not my training load. So I removed all gluten for about 3 weeks: bread, pasta, cereals, pastries, and even sauces with gluten. And within 10 days, that morning stiffness and pain was gone. I was like, what the heck? It was pretty wild. I just woke up one day, I'm like, man, that pain and stiffness is gone. And then by week three, all that swelling in my joint also just disappeared. Recovery runs felt easier. There's no aching after doing a long run or squats or going downstairs. And then one week, like, what the heck? Let me just reintroduce gluten. I saw this some bagels after I was craving some bagels after a long run. And boom, what happened? Within 24 hours, that pain came rolling back in. Right. And that was all the proof I need that, hey, there's a clear connection. Take gluten away, pain was gone. Bring the gluten back, pain returned. I even wanted to get additional information, make sure I wasn't all making it up in my head. So I worked with a functional medicine doctor, got some genetic testing, and they found that I do have a gene for non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Right? I was like, okay, now I have the gene, and when I in the real world removed gluten from my diet, it's like, okay, that's the proof I needed. That hey, I definitely have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, right, or like a gluten intolerance. So, what might be happening, right? Again, there are some kind of theories about what's actually happening, right? So again, there's not medical advice, but gluten can increase gut permeability, leaky gut, letting inflammatory proteins enter the bloodstream. These proteins can circulate and irritate tissues, especially joints are already under load from running or lifting. So, in this case, my knees. Some people call this non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Symptoms can include joint pain, like in my case, knee pain, fatigue. I was also getting fatigue as well, and even brain fog. And it's funny, I think I was getting all three of these symptoms: joint pain, fatigue, and brain fog. For some people, it could vary, of course. And it's not arthritis, right? So it just felt like it. So, I would get scans of my knee. And again, the x ray didn't even show any arthritis. Again, some mild wear in my patella, but there wasn't enough to be like thinking, hey, this is, the classical arthritis with the decreased joint space between the femur and the tibia. So always get checked first. If you're dealing with pain, don't try to be doctor yourself. Work with a doctor. Get looked at, see what's happening. Right. Because sometimes it's a fracture, sometimes an infection. You obviously want those things taken care of by a medical professional. I'm not saying disregard your doctor, but if you already went to the doctor, they did the scans were normal, right? And then maybe you've even been working with a physical therapist for a month, and within a month, nothing's really changing. Maybe you're getting partial results, but you're not getting the full resolution of your symptoms. After working with professionals and whatnot, maybe consider looking at the role of diet or the foods you're eating. So how you can do a test it safely on your own. Just try a short elimination trial. Doesn't even have to be too long, just 3 weeks. Remove gluten for 3 weeks. Track your pain, your energy, and recovery in a daily log. And then reintroduce gluten for 1 or 2 days. See if symptoms return. If you notice a pattern, that's your clue, right? Like if you take gluten away, pain's gone, and you bring it back in, pain comes back, right? That's like, okay, it's your choice then. Do you want to continue having pain? If you don't want pain, then get rid of the gluten. Now, again, this is not for everyone. I understand there's some people, and I wish I was one of those folks who could just enjoy bagels and pizza and not have any joint pain. But for me, those foods trigger joint pain, right? And honestly, I never slip up. Every now and then I might slip up, and then I'm like, "Oh, silly Ray, I just like, why is my knee painful and swollen?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, the night before I just had, some birthday cake, whatever, and now my joints all swollen." See, this isn't about fear. It's again just about the data. So what I eat instead? Gluten-free carbs that keep me fueled, right? So fruits, pretty much all fruits are gluten-free. So bananas, berries, apples, etc. Brown rice, white rice, quinoa, sweet potatoes, and then oats. Oats, you have to be careful. Sometimes oats are processed in facilities that also have wheat, so they get cross-contamination. So make sure to get oats that are certified gluten-free. I try to avoid drinking, especially beer, because beer can also have gluten in it. Because with the I forget it's coming off the tip of my tongue, whether it's barley or rye, whatever it is. But what is used to make beer can have gluten in it, and now your beer has gluten. So then that could be a trigger as well. Then protein. Now, where do I get my protein? So yes, I remove the gluten foods, also the alcohol that contains gluten, because alcohol could be again a sneaky source of gluten. And then for the proteins, I like usually proteins can be pretty safe. Most proteins are gluten free for them, unless they're made with wheat or gluten. But for protein like fish, tofu, or beans, and if you like to eat meat, that's fine too. So you could have chicken or steak, that's gluten free as well. Right. So in the protein category, most people are pretty safe unless they're doing like they're breading their chicken, getting like a chicken cutlet that's breaded, and then you have to make sure you do gluten-free breading for your chicken cutlet or whatever. And then for anti-inflammatory foods, I like to help decrease inflammation are berries, turmeric, olive oil. So I didn't just cut carbs away from my diet. I just removed the kind that caused inflammation for me, which was gluten. So the biggest lesson wasn't about that, oh, bread is evil because there's gluten free bread. You just buy gluten free bread. It was about awareness, right? Pain isn't always a sign of that your training is you're training the wrong way. You're going too hard all the time. I know how to train. I have a master's in exercise physiologist. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I know what a smart training plan looks like. It's not always the training or the exercise. So many people want to blame the exercise. Like, it was the exercise, yet you remove the exercise, yet their pain continues to persist, or you modify the exercise, and they're like, okay, something's not adding up here. And in this case for me, and I know a lot of my clients who I worked with, it was gluten sensitivity. Again, not everyone's sensitive to gluten, but for me, I'm gluten sensitive. So sometimes it's just your body asking you to listen and pay attention. So if you've been struggling with mystery joint pain, try the short elimination phase, right? Remove gluten for a few weeks and see safely and track what changes, right? What changes in your body. And if you want to learn how to rebuild your strength and run pain-free again, join my free school community where I share some recovery strategies, physical therapy tips, nutrition blueprints, and even have like free training plans on there to help you with running or just getting like some pain relief just from an exercise-based approach. Again, it doesn't replace working with a professional one-to-one, like an actual physical therapist one-to-one. But if you're in my area and you're like, hey, you want to reach out, you could also reach out to me, and I am a physical therapist as well. Anyhow, but you can check out my free resources, link in the description below.